Westfield Memorial Hospital provides high-quality health care to residents of Western New York, offering patients the most sophisticated medical advancements while keeping the ease and familiarity of a community hospital. Support for Chautauqua Sunrise has been provided by WRFA 107.9 FM, Jamestown's public radio station, streaming online 24/7 at WRFALP.com. Low power to the people. Chautauqua Sunrise is made possible by a grant from Fredonia Place, a continuing care retirement community providing dignity in a modern luxury environment. Meter's Restaurant, a family tradition for over 50 years in downtown Ripley, is a proud supporter of Chautauqua Sunrise. Meter's provides all-day dining, banquet services, and custom catering, specializing in pie. Funding for Chautauqua Sunrise is provided in part by the Chautauqua County Industrial Development Agency, with offices in Jamestown and Dunkirk, helping businesses to prosper throughout Chautauqua County. From supporting people with disabilities to enjoy great lives, to providing health care services that are available to anyone, the Resource Center has been improving our county for more than 60 years. Learn more about how the Resource Center makes a positive difference in people's lives. From the Access Chautauqua Studios in Mayville, it's Chautauqua Sunrise. Chautauqua Sunrise is hosted by Doc Hamels and supported by the award-winning volunteers at Access Chautauqua. We are here to share local news, colorful interviews, and events of interest to everyone. Chautauqua Sunrise is broadcast live Saturday mornings each week from 9 to 10 a.m. Send events via email or call us live. Check us out on YouTube and Facebook. And now, from the Access Chautauqua Studios, it's Chautauqua Sunrise.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Saturday. It's a wintry Saturday out there, and I suppose towards the end of January, it's to be expected. February is just around the corner. How did we get there, Justin, so fast? It just seems like we just were celebrating New Year, wasn't it? Well, anyways, I hope everybody's doing well. We have a show planned, and we're waiting for our guests. I don't know if they got waylaid because of weather or what's happening, so we're going to kind of play it by ear this morning. So we've got our fingers crossed that our guests are able to get in. And if not, we're going to talk. We're going to just visit with you and see what we can come up with as far as topics and so forth. So let's start out with hello around the world. As you know, we do stream everywhere. And people, I guess we just don't realize the power of social media today. Our good friend Steve Gustafson was here a couple of years ago, and he was sitting over on this side of me, and he had his iPhone, and he was talking into his iPhone, and I thought that was a little unusual that he was whispering. And I said, "What are you doing, Steve?" And he says, "I'm streaming." And I go, "How does that work?" And there we go. Oh, good. Thank you, Justin. And he was telling me how to do it. And after that, we started streaming. And I don't know if you even can do a close-up on maybe Europe and that. But you can, there you go. But wherever there's a stick pin, we've never done this before. Thanks for doing it, Justin. Wherever there's a stick pin, we've had somebody, even over towards the Philippines, if you go a little bit that way, I think we had somebody over in that area, Thailand and so forth. We got to get Australia. But we've had people across Europe, into some Asia, the Ukraine. Natalia, good morning. Across the United States, and even when the guys were in Hawaii, they were listening into the show and watching. Randy had called in, and I find it fascinating. Maybe everybody else just thinks it's everyday life, but here we are sitting in Chautauqua County in Mayville in our studio, and people anywhere in the world can watch us. And you know, WRFA 107.9 Low Power the People, they can do the same thing. They have an app for their for our phones that you can download, and you can listen to radio shows on their station anywhere around the world. So it's pretty cool. So while we got that banner up, I want to say good afternoon to my listeners on WRFA Tuesdays at 1 o'clock. It's really fun to be traveling through Jamestown and listening to the show later in the week, and they do such a great job over there, Jason Sample and company. So thanks for being a good partner and a friend of ours in getting out information about Chautauqua County, talking about events and things of this nature. Throughout the show today, you may have a question, a comment, something you want to share. And the way the show is designed, it's live. A lot of people think I'm just talking and we're just visiting with people. But at any point on Saturday mornings now, from 9 to 10, you can call in and you can tell us about some event or an anniversary or whatever. And let's pop that number up. We'll get to that. So it's 716-753-5225. And generally, Randy's on the other end of the phone, and he'll take your calls and get me the information. And a lot of times you hear Linda Spalding call in, and she will share some things from her world as far as what's going on with different organizations like the Lions Club and so forth. I know Mike from Portland calls in from time to time. We hear from Jim Kurtz from time to time. We hear from various people that will text us, email us. And if you catch the show later on, the banner is right below me here, you can email me at Chautauqua Sunrise, that's all one word, at gmail.com. Okay, Chautauqua Sunrise at gmail.com. And believe it or not, we do get quite a bit of email from time to time regarding events, and it's free of charge. Not that we're trying to outdo any other media form, but we talk, and we're public access, and that's part of what we do here, is to support what you all do and help you out the best we can. Okay? One more thing on media. Okay, this is interesting. Many of you that may be watching right now know that I happen to have a birthday yesterday. Now here's the point, not the fact that it was my birthday, but the fact was that I heard from people, ready for this one? Africa. I heard people from Europe, South America, Mexico area, Central America, I guess you'd call that, all across the United States, all just with a click of a button. And I haven't even gone back. It's overwhelming the way we can communicate. So, I mean, the days of the birthday card is just about gone, but we can text each other and we can share funny videos and little emojis and things like that. And instant. Good news and bad news, right? It's good news that we can communicate quickly, but the bad news is sometimes people are, the world that we live in now, are communicating real negative stuff. So we try to stay on the positive side here, and in my doings with people as well. So pretty fascinating stuff to wake up in the morning and hear from Phil from Africa. It says, happy birthday, Doc, or somebody from over in Ukraine, sending me really nice greetings. Fascinating. Okay, so please don't be shy, and if you don't want to talk on the air, that's okay. We will transcribe your message and we'll get it on the air nonetheless. So please keep that in mind. All right, this was sort of a sober thought. I was watching the news yesterday, and I think it was yesterday or the day before, I'm not sure which was. It was the first reported COVID case 3 years ago in the United States. 3 years ago. Seems like a lifetime ago. I mean, we were just kind of listening to all this and not really thinking too much about it. And the next thing we know, I think it was 3 months later, all of a sudden, the world just stopped. Everything changed on us. And I remember very clearly, and you do too, All of a sudden, we were walking into the studio. They had closed us for an hour. The station was off limits for an hour, and all of a sudden they changed it. We've talked about that before. That was kind of a weird time. But we were considered emergency, and I forgot what the other term was, but they needed us on the air, which made sense. And we all showed up with masks on, and we're fist bumping, but we're, like, are you infected? Am I infected? And it was a strange time, not knowing exactly what the protocols were and how we're going to run the show. But somehow or another, we got through those months and years now. The technology has changed, the medications, the treatments have changed, and hopefully we're for the better, but it's still out there. I talked to someone not long ago that just got COVID for like the second time, and it's like, it's just sneaking around the corners. So please think about making sure you get your booster shots, and if you don't feel well, stay home. And if you think you've got COVID, talk to your doctor. I guess they've got some medicine now that can help the situation, and most everybody's been vaccinated or boosted, and if you do get COVID, from what I'm told, it's not quite as bad. If you still think that this is not a dangerous thing, well, I don't know what to tell you other than I've known at least a half dozen people that died from COVID. And yet, I have to put the footnote to that, is that they had some underlying condition, heart, lung, diabetes, whatever, perhaps even old age, very senior people maybe contracted it and didn't have the ability to fight it off. I'll go there. But nonetheless, if COVID hadn't come through, I think they'd be still with us. And I think when all is said and done, we're well over 1 million people that succumbed to COVID and its complications. Not out of the woods yet, and they tell us that a new strain of something or other could happen any day. So let's just keep that in the back of our minds, that we know how to handle these things, and when they tell us to do whatever we need to do it, okay? We all have our different opinions on that, and I like to err on the conservative side when it comes to my health. So anyways, 3 years ago this week, first case of COVID in the United States, and here we are. Fortunate that we had a county that really responded well to it and came on the air here a number of times. We ran public service announcements. We had various people on the air to talk about how to wear your mask correctly and things to think about. So interesting. Okay, we have some other things I want to share with you. So let's get started on some announcements here. Okay. So the first thing is something that's come up for the last several years here. It's called Doors Open Jamestown. Now I know it's today, and I know that after today, you're watching this later in the week and say, well, that's old news. But for those of you that are watching right now, okay, have a listen. A myriad of attractions in the Jamestown region are once again pleased to host Doors Open Jamestown today, Saturday, January 28th. The event provides a free day at local museums and attractions, launched many years ago as a way to encourage local people to visit the numerous museums and attractions available in the community. In a time that is normally a slow tourism season, Doors Open Jamestown has become a highly anticipated day for the participating organizations as well as for their guests. Our region is fortunate to be the home of so many extraordinary attractions, and many of them are in the immediate Jamestown area. 17 attractions are participating this year, featuring something for everyone, including art, nature, sports, theater, history, and more. These amazing facilities look forward to this incredible open house today as they welcome area residents to see what they have to offer. Now I'm gonna have a little tally sheet here because I'm gonna see how many places I've actually been to and where I need to go to sometime. Okay, so here we go. The Audubon Community Nature Center. You been there? Me too. If you haven't been there, how do I describe it? It's like going into nature and forgetting where you are. They've got exhibits and they've got walkways and they've got some live critters there. I took my granddaughter there well, actually it's been a few years now, and she got to feed turtles. It was really a lot of fun, and they've got wonderful docents there and volunteers, and they explain the various exhibits, and there's some hands-on stuff. It's out there on Riverside Road on the edge of Jamestown. Okay, so that's the Audubon Community Nature Center. Chautauqua Sports Hall of Fame. Been there? Okay, yes I have. Randy Anderson's going to be here next week, and we're going to talk about the Sports Hall of Fame. And I got to tell you, yeah, we're going to get our seatbelts out because when Randy gets here, it's like, yowza. The Sports Hall of Fame is phenomenal. If you haven't been there, it's over on 15 West 3rd Street, all right? You go in there, it's a museum. It's a Hall of Fame. It celebrates sports and athleticism here in Chautauqua County way back to like the 1800s or something like that. They were also very, very kind in that they exhibited my father's soapbox derby information. My dad was in the very first All-American soapbox derby in 1934, and we had some artifacts from his time, and they actually put a little exhibit. We're not from Jamestown, all right, but nonetheless, they celebrated my dad, and I just don't have enough ways to thank them for that. He had passed, and that was just a good memory. They've got some new inductees this year, and Randy's going to be in next week, and we're going to talk about that. But if you haven't been there, you walk in there, and it's like, holy cow, there's just sports that you don't even think about, and I can't even name them all, but like skating and hockey and football and baseball and lacrosse and track and all that sort of thing. I'm not even touching half the stuff. Okay, the Dare House. Let's see, Daughters of the American Revolution. Did I get that right? I haven't been there, so that's one I got to circle that one. Okay, that's over 70 Prospect Street. So check that out. The Doubletree Jamestown, okay, that's the hotel, right? Doubletree. Been there many times. I've even played there. Gosh, I forgot about that. If you haven't been there, we drive by these places and we don't even think, why would I go there? Well, maybe you want to go for dinner, or maybe you have company coming in and you need some place for them to stay, or just if they have entertainment, things like that, a nice evening out. So the Doubletree over in Jamestown on 4th Street are... Okay, hold on one second, okay? I got to do a little quick here. Sending it a little message. Okay, then we have, Infinity Visual and Performing Arts Center. Yes. Okay, we've been there. Okay, check that one. There's another one. Okay, so I got one, two, I got one right there. Fascinating, absolutely fascinating. They do wonderful, wonderful things there with kiddos, helping them to aspire to high levels, to learn about themselves and their hidden talents and things like that. We've watched some folks that they've been on the show when they're wee little guys, right? And now they're out there performing and hitting the stage or whatever it is. If you haven't been there, it's over on East 2nd Street. Really, really cool, and they're giving tours, and it's amazing. I wish I could have been there. Jamestown Prendergast Library, okay? Been there too. I've done research there actually, and I visited there over the years. Beautiful, beautiful place to be, and let's see. Why would you go there? Because libraries are not the libraries of when we were kids or even from 20 years ago, 10 years ago. They've become almost like a community center in many ways. I know the one in Ripley, they have all kinds of things. They have painting days, they have craft days, they show movies, all kinds of fun things. But the Prendergast Library is just a great, great facility, and so that's going to be open today. So check it out. Okay, Lucille Ball Desiarnaz Museum. Yes. I haven't. I got a kid there. All right. Gosh, lots of history there for our community with Lucille Ball and her family. But we do have a painting of Lucille Ball at our house that was done by Sue Wolf. She's an artist, and my wife just loved Lucy, and so we have that. But that's at 2nd West 3rd Street, and they're going to be open today. But you have pre-registration, so I don't know if you can just walk in. Lucille M. Wright Air Museum over at 110 West 3rd Street. You been there?
No, I don't think
But you know, it used to be over at the airport, so I'm going to check yes, but they,
actually yes for me.
okay.
Back when I was a little kid.
Little kid. Yeah, Joe Minorovich used to be in charge of that, and he used to invite me down there. Lucille Ball Little Theater of Jamestown. I've been there. They're open today. Fascinating, beautiful venue. This is one I got to get to, Justin. Maybe you too. The Martz Cole Observatory.
We were there while they were
Okay.
doing some construction.
Okay. Well, that's over in Frewsburg. Hang on one more time. I know I'm taking up. Just hang on, everybody. This is important. My guest and I are staying in touch here. Let's see, where was I? The Martz Cole Observatory, I hear, is fascinating, and I love astronomy and things like that. So then the Marvin Community House over on 2nd Street. I think I've been there for meetings, and I think that's a really cool place. The National Comedy Center is over on West 2nd Street. That's by pre-registration. If you don't make it today, try to make it another time. I've got to get there yet. Let's see, the Northwest Arena. Okay, that's on 319 West 3rd. I think I've been in there. I can't remember. I think I have. Pearl City Clay House. Now, if you've been there, then you are really quick because they just opened their doors, and that's really something that you should check out. The Reginald A. Center for the Arts. I'm not prepared and kind of sick. Oh my gosh, my guest is sick. Hang on again. Hang on one second. Sometimes we got to do things on the run here. Okay. Let's see. Where was I? The arena. Okay. Oh no, Pearl City Clay House. They haven't been there yet because they just opened, so I can't wait to get there. We're going to have them on the air here. The Reginald A. Center for the Arts. Beautiful venue. Robert H. Jackson Center. They're open today. Roger Torrey Peterson. Been there. Played there. Great venue. Okay. So basically, they are open, all these venues, and so let's just keep on going here. I don't want to take up too much time here. Then Chautauqua County Chamber President, CEO Daniel Heizenrader says, Doors Open Jamestown is much more than a chamber event. Our Jamestown Community Chamber coordinates it. But once the day arrives, this event belongs to all of you and the numerous attractions for free, and they welcome you throughout. Okay, so what else we got? I'm trying to keep up with my guest here. Chautauqua County is a trove of treasures, and that it is, and we like to promote that. All right, let's keep on moving. Let's go to slide 16, Jeff. Okay, attention parents and of children 0 to 12. Triple P, Positive Parenting Programs, and say that 20 times fast. Free discussion group series, Mondays at the Resource Center at 186 Lakeshore Drive, West Dunkirk, New York. January 3rd, coming up, they're going to do a program on developing good bedtime routines. February 6th, these are at 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., hassle-free shopping. February 13th, fighting and aggression. You can attend one, you can attend them all, they're free. And if you're interested, you can call them at 679-8946. Ask for Lucy, and you can connect with them and see what happens. All right, let's go on to 17. This is really cool. The Reginald A. Center for the Arts invites the public to the Palace Theater Centennial Celebration. Okay, the Reg Center begins a year-long celebration of the Palace Theater 100th anniversary with a free public event Sunday, February 5 at 2 p.m. Wow. 100 years to the day of the opening of the Palace Theater, the centennial celebration will feature an address from the Executive Director, Hilary Meyer, words from special guests from the community, treats for those in attendance, and a free screening at 2:30 p.m. Of the 2003 comedy film School of Rock starring Jack Black. The Palace Theater opened on February 5th, 1923, with a program featuring live music, public officials, and a screening of the Lionel Barrymore film, A Face in the Fog. The theater initially operated as a vaudeville house, with Nikitas Dipson purchasing it in 1926, adding more movie showings. It showcased films and live events through 1956. That year saw Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz return to Jamestown to premiere their film Forever Darling at the theater. How fun. Then, after 25 years of showing films exclusively, the Palace had fallen into disrepair. After a noted solo concert by Harry Chapin in 1981, community members began the process of raising funds to restore the theater. The Palace Civic Center presented live performances for nearly a decade, reopening fully after it was restored in 1990 and was renamed the Reginald Civic Center, honoring Reginald and Elizabeth Lene, who provided a generous financial gift to complete the renovations. The theater continues to be the focus of programming at the Reginald Lene Center for the Arts, with over 60 films and 30 live events presented annually. The Centennial Celebration will kick off a year of anniversary film screenings, live entertainment, and the return of the Cash Bash fundraiser, a larger commemorative event recognizing the Palace will take place this fall. Okay, so for more information, check them out over at reginaldlene.com. Sounds like a lot of fun. All right, let's see what else we got here. Then we got the 5-year anniversary celebration today from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the Chautauqua Art Gallery over in Jamestown on Main Street. This business is celebrating its 5th anniversary with artist demonstrations of silver point drawing, clay sculpting, and digital painting and techniques. If you're interested, go on over there at 318 North Main Street. And if you're listening right now, give them a call at 294-3027. Whew, my gosh. Now, we got another slide. This is a long one, but we're going to do a short version of it. So let's pop up number 18, Jeff, if you're keeping up with me. I hope I am. Okay, here we go. January is National Human Trafficking Prevention Month, and we've had our guest on already this year. And members of the Chautauqua County Multidisciplinary Team, there they are, the Safe Harbor Critical Team and Arise Chautauqua, commemorated their anti-trafficking efforts and reaffirmed their commitment to empowering survivors, prosecuting traffickers, and educating the community on the issues of trafficking and commercial sexual exploitation of children. We believe, Kaylee Vaser, Safe Harbor Director, states that all children and youth deserve to live, love, and thrive free from abuse, exploitation, and violence. In 2016, the Chautauqua County Department of Health and Human Services received a Safe Harbor grant from New York State's Office of Children and Family Services to assist in developing a coordinated multi-systems approach in responding to acts. The organization works with human trafficking in partnership with the Niagara University. A needs assessment was conducted to identify and understand gaps in knowledge and service provision and so forth. So congratulations to all of those pictured that work together to make our kids and adults for that matter too. We've talked about human trafficking here over the last year or two. I've written a couple articles now for Silver Magazine on homelessness. We've talked about addiction. It all comes together, everybody working together to make sure we got a safer and healthier community. So congratulations, folks. All right, and then we got some stuff back at the Reginald Lene. We got some movies. Coming up Wednesday, February 1 at 7 p.m. We've got some things going on here. Hang on a second. Devotion is an aerial war epic based on the best-selling book of the same name. Tells the inspirational true story of two elite U.S. Navy fighter pilots who helped turn the tide in the most brutal battle in the Korean War. Jess Brown, the first black aviator in naval history, and his fellow fighter pilot and friend Tom Hudner, their heroic sacrifices and enduring friendship would ultimately make them the Navy's most celebrated wingmen. Okay, and that's going to be on February 1. And then we mentioned already the School of Rock with Jack Black. Fun movie, gosh, one of his earlier ones. That's going to be February 5. Showing at 2:30. Jack Black stars as a hell-raising guitarist with delusions of grandeur. Kicked out of his band and desperate for work, he impersonates a substitute teacher and turns a class of fifth graders into high achievers, into high-voltage rock and rollers. Joan Cusack portrays the principal of the private school where Black is prepping the kids for the Battle of the Bands. Lots of fun. You'll enjoy that one. And it's free. Wow. So give them a call about these movies at 484-7070. And finally, let's pop up a play that's coming up at the Lakeshore Center for the Arts. I think we got that right. And Love Letters. Okay, this is going to be coming up on February 10, 11, 12, and 14 at the Lakeshore Center for the Arts over in Westfield at the Presbyterian Church on the back side of it. Tickets are only $20, and I have the honor to be working opposite Joan Caruso, who is just absolutely fabulous. And it's a series of letters that two people exchanged over time, over a course of 50 years, their relationship, their friendship, their love for each other in a very interesting way. It's very poignant, it's very moving, and every time we rehearse it, we just sit there and just go like, whew, wow, this was an interesting play. So on the 10th and the 14th, it's at 7 p.m. On the 11th and the 12th, it's at 2 p.m. And to get tickets, you just simply go to Lakeshore Center for the Arts, all one word.com. So lakeshorecenterforthearts.com, and you can get your tickets. I'm really excited about this play. It's very different than anything I've done so far, and I think you're going to enjoy that. All right, enough talking. I'm going to get my guest on the phone here. We figured this all out. And if you will just have a public service announcement, we'll be back with you shortly. Okay?
First night here, but Amy seems cool.
Waist down by the river. I am blind, but I need not see. I know this love is there for me.
Nice and slow.
I got this.
Take me down to the river
Nice.
and wash me.
Okay. What do you think?
Once in a while, we have a situation where we have to kind of manipulate technology and storms, sickness, all kinds of things pop up. So we're going to be talking, hopefully in a minute here, live with my guest, Adam Chambers. So let me do a little bit of backstory on this, and then hopefully we'll get Adam on the line because this is a really cool story. Okay, he's ringing in right now. Just let me know when he's ready. So from time to time, what I like to do, okay, we'll get to him in a second. So from time to time, I like to look for stories that are local stories that are really, really cool. And in my hometown of Ripley, there's been a building that's been sitting for I don't even know how long, and it's just sitting there, and all of a sudden now it's been given new life, and I'm going to interview here in a second. In fact, we'll even pop his picture up while he's talking. Adam Chambers, who is a very young entrepreneur, and I've been hoping to see him in person, but I guess he got sick, and so we're going to get him on the line right now. Adam, are you online?
Hi, how we doing?
Sorry to hear that you're under the weather.
Well, yeah,
Well,
bit of a scratchy throat, but not too bad. And yeah, my alarm failed me, and so did my memory. I kind of got a lot going on. I apologize. I really do. I really do.
well, Adam, right now you're streaming around the world, and you are talking to us live. And you are going to be on the radio later in the week, and this show is going to be rebroadcast throughout the week. So let's pop up Adam's picture, Jeff, so at least people can see who we're talking to from time to time. And so what we did was we did a little bit of emergency surgery here at the station. Okay.
I apologize.
Hey, it's okay. This has happened before. At least we were able to connect with you. And right now we have a picture of you and Samantha, I believe, right?
Yes.
And Samantha is your significant other, correct?
That is correct, yeah.
Okay. So we have a picture that was on Facebook that I grabbed while I was getting ready. And so, anyways, so Adam, you are originally from where? Sherman?
Yeah, Sherman. I grew up in like South Ripley. Well, it was actually Mina, right on the Ripley-Mina line up near, in between Finley Lake and Sherman, northeast area.
Right. So where did you go to school?
I went to Sherman. Yeah.
Sherman. So next door neighbors, you're right on the line. In the old days, people from that part of the world would have probably come to Ripley, but back in the 40s they made a deal with Sherman and sent y'all over on the other side of the Gulf to Sherman. So, but
yeah, that's the story I hear. You guys had
right.
Plenty of kids at that time to go to school, and now Ripley's
we don't have enough, and you don't have enough.
up there with you guys right now.
Right. So, Adam, when you were growing up, did you ever dream that you were going to be an entrepreneur, a business owner?
Well, I suppose so, because I kind of knew that I didn't want a typical 9-to-5, factory shift life, and I figured out that this area had two things going for it, and that was farming and tourism, and I decided I didn't really like milking cows that much.
Okay, so what's your background before you got into this project of the brew chamber at the mill? So what else would you...
Oh, I suppose, well, my first job ever, which was short-lived, was washing dishes at a restaurant my mom worked at, Colt Station.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I definitely way too tall for the sink, and that was just, I had a ride to work with my mom, and then...
oh, that's always fun.
And then when I was 14, during the summer, I helped Mike Penzock, who you know, I'm sure,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
build a house in South Ripley. I had this little 90cc four-wheeler that I rode through the ravines to get there.
But that's so typical. That's so typical of the young guys in where we live is four-wheelers through the back roads, right?
And then I had older brothers who poured concrete, before I was even came of age. So concrete and construction was my main game, and there's a lot of other gigs in between that. I recorded conferences for a while. That was a great opportunity with Digital, and was just a freelancer on the road. But I do about maybe 10 to 14 a year, and that was really cool because I could travel around, see different brew pubs, talk to brewers, capture medical conferences, which sometimes it was really interesting. It was always learning, always seeing.
Mm-hmm.
It was really cool. So
I did the math today. I'm exactly 2 times older than you. I mean,
wow.
You're just a young guy yet, and you've accomplished quite a bit. I mean, you and I have had an opportunity to chat over the summer about what your project was, because I was getting some historical background for your place. And I got to tell you, I'm very impressed with what you've done so far. And so let's get into the heart of the topic. is that you've got a background which seems has served you well now with this project. And where did this whole idea come from, this project called the Brew Chamber at the Mill?
Well, I was my senior year, I guess, when my dad bought the the Sherman Hardware my senior year, and we go down there, and me and my brother and my dad were like, hey, let's maybe build a bar down here. And at the time, Aaron and my brother Aaron and Jimbo kind of were making extracts, and then there's a big break from the brewing process in the family, but that was a nice introduction to the brewing process. And then
we're talking about brewing beer, right? Beer?
Brewing beer, and that's kind of where it all started. And I was growing hops, and so then more down the road, I was growing hops and running the party bus and recording conferences, and I was running a shuttle bus down in wine country, and I really wanted to get back into brewing, but I was just thinking that I wanted to grow hops. And then I'm like, growing hops isn't very lucrative unless you go big. That's like saying, hey, I'm going to go grapes. And it's like grapes on steroids.
Yeah, really. It's not easy to grow hops.
15-foot trellises, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
But, all right, so, So yeah, basically my beer got better, and I'm like, I'm not making any money on hops, and I was, there's just no way that's gonna happen.
Okay.
And I was doing the conferences, run a party bus down here, and what I would find is, these groups would come here from Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Cleveland. I'd take them around to all the different wineries and breweries, and then they'd be like, hey, we're hungry. Which one of these places have food and this and that? I'm like, well, none of them really, because at the time, Arndell wasn't there, and
right.
Some of the other ones are slowly getting into it. So I was like, man, so I'd take them to Jam and Vine, at like 6, 7 o'clock, because, not only do they not do food, they close at business hours at the time.
Right.
So I'm like traveling the country, visiting all these different brew pubs and stuff, and I'm like, man, I'm going to build a craft brew bar in the heart of wine country. And I saw that building, and
so let's talk about the building, because a lot of people people say to me, well, where is this place? And I go, well, you could drive right by it in the old days and not even see it.
Yeah, it's kind of invisible. And I was from Sherman, but I've been slowly migrating down here. I always liked the lake, and my mom even said, and I just finally moved down here off the hill just a few months ago. And my mom's like, even when you were a kid, you said you wanted to live on the lake, which I don't remember saying that.
It's beautiful down there. I mean, the whole lakeshore is just gorgeous, isn't it? All right, so now you're in Ripley?
Yeah, I live right across from the State Line store now.
So we're fellow Ripleyans or Ripleyite, depends how you look at it. Okay, so you found, now give me the time frame now. When did you find the building? And we're going to pop a picture of that right now, what it used to look like in the old days that you have posted on Facebook. Okay, so go ahead.
How I bought it.
Yeah. So now we're looking at a picture. They can see that it's by the railroad tracks, lots of windows. So how long ago did you find this building?
I've always kind of noticed it and wondered it. And I was about 6 years ago, I was going to the tax auction, kind of looking for a place to build a little craft brew bar, and I was going to do it from scratch. And then my brother Jim actually was there with his wife, and they were there because the previous owners were selling some of the old antiques in there and stuff, and it was just full. Some of the people who may remember, just full of antiques, because some of it from the real original entity and what it was repurposed as from there. But then one of the final lives it had was that Seraph's in Westfield owned it, and the roof leaked and rotted all the antiques, and it was just rough in there. But there were some old commercial coffee makers in there. And my brother Jim goes, hey, you should check out these old commercial coffee makers. You could make beer with them maybe, potentially. And I go in there and I check them out, and I look at the building, and I made a handshake deal with the guy on the whole building and all the contents that were in it for sub $20,000. because it was so daunting and on the verge of being caved in. And it took me 5 years to rebuild that thing. And I tell people, well, it only took me a year and a half, 2 years to paint the picture. It took me, 3 years to tape the canvas together because just everything was just so trashed on it.
So tell folks the history of the building. I keep calling it the building because I don't want to steal your thunder here.
Yeah, and I really wanted to work on that timeline, and I just had a lot going on this week. I apologize.
You're fine. You're fine. You're fine.
But I originally I thought it was a feed and coal mill, and then I found some stuff about how it was originally Rumsey's engine shop, and he made engines there before the 1900s. And I believe it's the same building, and I really wanted to dig deeper into that. And then after that, it was the Ripley Feed and Coal Mill, I believe. It wasn't the original entity. And Bannister and Meade from Northeast made it the Ripley Feed and Coal Mill, but it was always also just kind of, you could see from the old pictures with the, trading grapes, doing the grapes on the railroad. It was kind of the trading post of the community from what I've seen from a lot of the pictures, And then, so Meade ran it as the Ripley Feed and Coal Mill, and then Fred Randall, which you could probably tell more about him, that was right there as well, it's kind of like where my parking lot is, Fred Randall's juice company.
And that was a huge, huge building right along the tracks.
Yeah, so that would be that build, like that yard right on behind the mill there was where Fred Randall's was. And his name's on my title search too.
Right.
So he owned it. Rumsey's on my title search. He owned it. And then it was repurposed after that. I wish I had that timeline sorted out a little better. And then after that, it was John Schmidt, I believe, right?
Jim
Jim
Schmidt.
Schmidt turned it into the Ripley Fuel Company, and I found artifacts from that. And as I found artifacts, I kind of made collages on the walls, of the different things that it has been. And then after John Schmidt owned it, then I believe it went to Serif's, and they stored antiques in there. So a lot of the antiques aren't from the original entity, but man, I sorted through rotten dressers for 3 years and was like reluctantly. If I would have just threw everything right away, I probably could have sped up the process by a year. But it was just like such a shame. But like save some of it though. But man, I touched a lot of things before I ended up just throwing them in the dumpster.
Adam, I got to say something right now to you. Okay, I want to say this: is that in America as a whole, when we see an old building, what do we usually do? We knock it down and put up something new, something prettier, perhaps. You took something that had good bones, because I've been in there, and you made it into something really quite nice, and that takes a lot of vision. So where did the vision come from? I mean, was it the accumulation of all your visitations, and did you draw this out, or how did you get to the next step?
It's funny. It definitely helped having a construction background for a long time, so I can see things, and it's not so daunting. Even though this thing was pretty daunting, Now
it's a big building for sure.
I look at townhouses like sheds, and I still can't help but to look blight, and I think it's almost my calling because I can't wait to buy the next pile for that. I swear.
Well,
I just can't wait to get this thing running itself and go buy another big piece of crap.
Well, but you say crap, but people are, like I said, are so quick just to knock things down. But if they were just take a breath and realize, I mean, how big are those beams in there? I mean, they're like what, 12 by 12s or 20 by 20s? I mean,
if you have the picture of the cement block buildings, and those cement blocks date back to about when the cement block was ever invented, and these things are massive. So to tear this down and the debris it would have cost probably whoever was going to do it more money than I got into the project to tear it down, I believe.
So just to take a quick step back, and then we'll keep going. What year was this built in? Was it like turn of the century? I don't know. Approximately. I mean, the 1920s, before.
So yeah, in the basement, you know, there's kind of an original foundation, you know, and then they built off that foundation. And I almost think that the original foundation dates back to Rumsey's, and that's like 1875 days.
Okay, that fits some of the other
really
construction here.
I better down, but had a lot going on this week.
That's okay.
But
Okay, so if people were listening right now, they're going to say, all right, we still don't know where it is. You know where the tracks are, but if you know where the fire hall is in Ripley, okay, on Route 76 and if near 20 and 76, sort of in that area by the light, and you just make a depending on which way you're going, coming up the hill, it's behind the fire hall, basically, right?
Yep, basically right on the tracks. So yeah, the only light in Ripley, you know, you take a right on, or if you go up the hill towards Sherman on 76, and you cross the tracks, you went too far. It's basically right at the tracks, you take a right, and then follow the tracks kind of along the fireman's parking lot there. There's a parking lot in front of the building that looks like mine. That's the parking lot of the fire department. Then I have a parking lot out back.
Right. Okay.
It's off of 76. Kind of off from Boswell Street, but I kind of try and direct the traffic to the south side of the building.
Okay, we just popped up a modern picture of what you have. I pulled it off your Facebook page, and right now we're looking at it from the backside, where you have your loading dock, and to the right is your main entrance to the facility. So
right, we're looking at the south side and the west side.
Exactly. So we can't see any block building now. Basically, we see something very kind of clean, nice and clean lines. So looks like you put aluminum on there or some type of metal.
Yeah, galvanized aluminum metal siding, and then So when I bought this place, I knew what I was in for. So I bought a brand new hammer drill for drilling into concrete blocks and a whole. A big pile of 2x4s and 9 boxes of Tapcons, which are, for people don't know, to drill out and connect boards to the concrete.
Wow.
Wrapped the outside of this thing, brand new roof, and also the inside.
And you
so
did
both sides Tapcon all the way around.
No, you guys did most of the work yourself?
I had a lot of buddies, along the way.
But
I hired a few contractors along the way.
There you go. Okay. So.
But definitely did a large majority of it myself.
Yeah. Okay, so you took something that was really looking pretty rough, okay?
Yeah.
And you really turned it into a nice looking building. I mean, it looks like a Morgan building or whatever you want. Now, there used to be something on top of the building, like a little, I don't even know, a cupola. What was it, like a tower or something at one time? Maybe an elevator?
Yeah, that was actually held the elevator and the pulley system, and if you have any pictures inside, that chandelier that I built over the bar was built out of that thing that came off the roof, which held the conveyor system, and that wheel I hung from the ceiling again. And, yeah, there was a moment in the time where I could sit in the basement and look at the stars of this place, and I'm hanging out with the ghosts thinking, what the hell am I doing here,
Oh, my gosh. But, well, right now we have a picture. We have a picture looking into your facility of the bar, basically, and towards the bandstand. Okay, so we're like on the street side. We're on one side of the bar looking towards the parking lot into the building. That came off your Facebook page, it looks like, from here. So you basically, I think what they call it, you left it like an industrial look. Would that be a fair statement?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
When I bought this place, I go, that repurposing thing is really cool now, and people pay a lot of money to have it look like that. And I go, I've been calling that surviving since I was like 20 years old. I'm all practiced up.
So
just basically salvaged all the stuff, and hemlock from the Amish, and a lot of salvage materials from demoing it out of places around here, the Colonial Squire.
There you go. Yeah.
And that.
Yeah, and I've been with you. visited with you a few times now, and it's sort of like going into a time capsule, and it's sort of like it's like a little bit of everything. And
I've been pretty picky about it. You know, for occupancy code, you need exit signs with the battery backup, the egress exit signs, and me and my cousin, he's a union electrician who helped me with the electrical along the way. I had these antique exit signs, and we tore apart brand new $180 egress exit signs and stuffed them in the gut. Stuffed the guts in these antique exit signs. So everything from the hand sink for the bartender, the exit signs, to the urinals, the sinks. I couldn't stomach anything that's not authentically vintage.
And it is, and it's really fun to be there. And so, all right, so it's called the Brew Chamber at the Mill. So where'd you get the title?
Well, I kind of wanted to just call it the Mill, but that was a little too cliche, or for trademarking infringement issues for different reasons, because there's a lot of places that are kind of called that. And then I kind of had the name Brew Chamber, because we kind of tossed that name around, or I kind of had that idea for the cooler when we originally did the cooler.
Oh, okay.
And Dad's like, no. And then I looked, the Brew Chamber sounds cool, which is really like brew pub, brew house, and that's
playing off your name. Yeah,
and that's my business. That's my legal name. And then I kind of just throw the Mill in there because I kind of wanted people just to call the pub the Mill. And then, so I Googled the word chamber. It's like large room where people meet. I'm like, well, that's about the definition of it. So,
okay. All right. And we got about 2.5 minutes. So what I want you to do now, if you would, is just tell us what your vision for the next couple of years, what facilities and services you provide now and hope to do, because you've told me some really cool stuff.
Well, I really need to get to making more beer. I made cider, and now, I got this pub open with minimal funds, didn't want to go broke again. Had a batch of cider on tap, wanted to get it open, got it open, and the pub's doing well, and it's really turned into a musical pub, which is really, really awesome, because I've played in bands and stuff throughout the years and build a big old stage. And so now I really got to get back to my beverages. The cider went quick, and I've put some money into the brewing system now, and I really appreciate all the support at the pub. And the new beers are coming soon, and hopefully I pull out some good beers as well as the cider went. So
I think we have a picture of a really cool band that played with you not too long ago. And I think I grabbed my band's picture, and I will pop that up here. So you plan to have music, which is pretty unique. So right now you're looking at my band on your stage, and that's just, that's a musician's dream to have a stage like that with all kinds of outlets and stuff. So, okay, so music, beer, food. You have food?
Yep. Just right now we have a small menu, a few sandwiches, few apps. But yeah, it's evolving.
Okay. Future plans? I think you told me you wanted to make it into a conference center, didn't you, at some point?
Well, yeah, I would like. There's a hole upstairs where potentially I could put, rooms for Airbnb or whatever, and then I would like to. I lived the conference world for 4 years, so I could facilitate, the projection and maybe really small conferences, and I could, but potentially maybe someday. I don't know.
Okay, well, and we're just about out of time. I'm glad we were able to get our technologies to work together so I could do this interview. And I want to thank you for getting on the phone with me. And we worked this all out. This has happened before, and so it's nothing new to us. I hope you're feeling better. And you folks are the Brew Chamber at the Mill in Ripley, off of Boswell Street. I guess it's the easiest, or behind the fire hall. Yeah. And we wish you luck, and we're going to come play for you again and come visit with you and have some good food. And thanks for taking an eyesore and really making it into quite of a nice destination.
I appreciate that.
All right, Adam Chambers, you take care, and good luck to your project and the next project you get into, okay?
All right, thanks, Doc. I appreciate it.
You take care now. Bye-bye now. Folks, we're going to do this next Saturday. You take care and have a great weekend and go visit some of those open door facilities. All right? I'm Doc Hamels. See you next Saturday right here on XS Chautauqua, channel 1301 on Spectrum. Bye now.